Hey mamas, the moment I found out that I was pregnant with my first, I took to books to learn everything I could about how to have a natural, healthy, informed, and positive pregnancy and birth. I had not yet become a professional doula, although birth was something I was familiar with and in awe of, and my own mama had recently passed away, so I felt this urgency to learn everything I could about pregnancy and birth. Reading the right books during pregnancy to prepare for labor is so important. Many books focus on the scary parts of pregnancy and birth, all the things that could go wrong, and leave you with more questions and doubts about your ability to give birth. The books that I recommend are ones that I have loved when I found out that I was going to be a mama, and the ones that I still love and encourage mamas to read now as a childbirth educator and birth doula. Where your mind leads, your body follows. So the more that you fill your mind with inspiration and empowerment and education, the easier it will be to have a happier, healthier, and easier birth. I'm Bridget, and I'm a childbirth educator and doula, and it's my passion to help mamas just like you to believe that they are built to birth. If you're new to our YouTube community, make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell so you don't miss any future videos that can help you have a more empowering pregnancy, birth, and postpartum period. So the internet, as many of you know, is a massive black hole of information, which is why it can sometimes be intimidating to type into Google your question and then trust the results you get. Yes, there are tons of trustworthy things to look at and learn from the web, but sometimes it's easier to stick to books to get some of those answers. By the end of this video, you will have my top 5 books to prepare you for birth that as a childbirth educator I love and trust. These books will fill you with trustworthy information, inspiration, and practical tools to help you love your birth. All of these books will be linked down below in the description for you to access super easily. So the first book that I recommend every mama reading is Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. Ina May Gaskin is an incredible midwife who has had a lifetime of experience helping women learn to trust their bodies, their babies, and in the process of birth to experience a natural and empowering birth experience. This book is so inspiring and insightful, and she teaches mamas about how interconnected her mind is with her body and how deeply that impacts the birthing process. She talks about how to trust and facilitate the physiological process of birth and why interventions are often made necessary because of man-made problems, and then how to remedy common issues that arise in the medical care model of birth, and then how to know when interventions are necessary. Each time I pick up this book, I get goosebumps because of the way that she talks about birth, and it's so moving and powerful and truly makes every woman want to experience the strength and victory that Ina May speaks of when she talks about birth. This is a pretty long book, but it is so worth the time that you spend reading it, and to make it easier, you can just get it on Audible, which actually gives you a 30-day free trial and access to your free first book of your choosing. So that way you can just put it on while you're doing housework, you're in the car, you're exercising, or doing your kick counts with your baby. And it makes it super easy to absorb all of the knowledge and inspiration that this book holds. If you are a doula or nurse and haven't read this book yet, you also need to read this one as soon as possible because it's just that good. So much of what Ina May wrote in this book inspired me as I was writing my birth affirmations. So if you guys are trying to find affirmations that speak to you, I really recommend checking this book out and then writing down her quotes or just inspirational things that she says so that you can have them up in your birth space as a reminder to be affirming your mind and your body in the direction that you want it to go. The second book that I recommend reading that I love is Pregnancy, Birth, and the Newborn, written primarily by Simkin, who is another leading birth worker and natural birth proponent. This book is so valuable because it is so full of easily understandable information that really empowers parents to make informed decisions regarding their birth. The information in it is evidence-based and up-to-date and helps you understand how normal and natural pregnancy and birth is, but also how sometimes women do face challenges that don't make pregnancy and birth feel as normal and natural, and how you can make the best decisions for yourself to have a happy, healthy, and easy birth as much as possible, even when there are bumps in the road. I definitely recommend this book to any mama who is giving birth in a hospital to read because it really helps you understand what interventions are commonly used and why and how you can decide which interventions, if any, are in your best interest. Again, doulas, this is such a good book for you to read to understand what many hospital births are like, but it also has information on home and birth center births as well. And it's just a great resource to have with you to refresh your memory if you have a client facing a particular circumstance in regards to their pregnancy and birth. This book also touches on the early weeks of life with a newborn. It talks about how to help that transition if you have other kids to a new baby in the family, how to navigate postpartum depression, and just life in general after baby is born. The third book is the Mama Natural Week by Week Guide to Pregnancy and Childbirth. And I love this book because the author Genevieve Howland gives an awesome perspective on changing her life around and basically saving herself from herself, and how empowering it was to focus on her physical, mental, and spiritual health, and how that impacted the way that she approached her pregnancy and birth. For my mamas who don't know where to start to have a healthy pregnancy, this is such a great place to look. And for my mamas who are already natural living, holistic junkies, you will love what she has to say about pregnancy and birth. All of the chapters are really bite-sized, which is what I love about it, and it's really easy to read and digest, and then implement into your own pregnancy journey. The fourth book that I recommend is Natural Hospital Birth, and this book is one that I poured over and over again throughout my own pregnancy. Most mamas giving birth today do so in a hospital setting, but still many of you want to try to have as natural of a birth as possible with as few interventions. Many of you wanting to do it unmedicated, which can sometimes be hard in a setting where there is such easy access to so many interventions that when necessary can be life-saving. Some women want the comfort of being in a hospital setting to have the care they need if the circumstances arise, and other women don't have a choice to give birth anywhere besides the hospital. What you do have a choice in is how your birth unfolds, and this book is so helpful in giving you very practical and easily remembered advice to be able to make decisions regarding your birth at a hospital and how to have as natural of a birth as possible in a very medicalized environment. I 100% recommend reading this book, which is written by Cynthia Gabriel, who is a doula herself and actually helps teach hospital staff how to help women in labor have fewer unnecessary interventions during birth. So she's a great expert on this topic. It's so packed with information, and it's an easy and pretty quick read, and I promise you won't regret learning everything you can that this book has to offer. Now, before I get to the last book, let me know down in the comments section below what resources you have been loving to stay educated and empowered through your pregnancy as you prepare for birth and postpartum, so that you can help other mamas out there get informed and excited for their own births too. It's not just books, but include books down there that I haven't mentioned, but any other resources that you've been using and loving. So the fifth book that I recommend is The Birth Partner, which is written by Penny Simkin, who is a renowned doula and a childbirth educator and has so much information to glean from, especially from her book. This book is geared more towards the birth partner and is actually a book that is on the required reading list for doulas who go through DONA International Doula training. But partners, you will benefit so much from reading this book and implementing even a few of the tips that this book has to offer. It's not for just the professionals who are in this field. It is very easy to implement the tips that she offers in this book. Mamas, this is also a really great resource for you as well, and I especially recommend reading this book if you really don't know anything about how to facilitate the process of birth and can't have a doula to support you through your birth. This book does a really good job of preparing birthing mamas and their birth partners for situations that may arise in labor, whether it's a really straightforward experience or for one that has a few twists and turns. You can almost use this book as a checklist for the last things that you want to prepare for before the arrival of your baby, which makes it super useful and practical. I recommend reading this book in the early third trimester because it has so much valuable information in regards to birth, which you don't want to forget, which could be easy to do if you read it like fairly early on in the first or early second trimester. So for anyone watching this video, mamas, partners, birth workers, or whoever you may be, these books, Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth, Pregnancy, Birth, and the Newborn, the Mama Natural Week-by-Week Guide to Pregnancy and Childbirth, Natural Hospital Birth, and The Birth Partner are books that are all going to leave you more educated, more empowered, and more inspired and ready to have an amazing birth than before you read them. Again, all of the links to these books are down below in the description for you to access. All of these books were foundational in helping me create the philosophy that I hold about birth today, that women are built to birth and that birth is not an event that needs to be feared or dreaded, but is an experience that women can truly love. Birth is an experience that will transform your life for the better, mama, and the more you know, the less you fear. And these books can truly help you replace that fear with knowledge and empowerment. So thanks for being with me in this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, mamas.